Hey, Natasha Lara Lewis here with Big Rock Organics, and welcome to week 16 of the box. I feel like I'm in a game of Candyland and I've made it to the finish line. So it's so hard to believe that we've been through an entire season together, and I'm excited for those of you who are staying on for a couple of bonus weeks because the garden is still thriving. But it has been an awesome year, so thank you so much for being a part of it. And we're happy to have shared the bounty of the garden with you. So come with me as we go through everything. You will probably recognize quite a few things, but of course we always have a couple new surprises for you to enjoy. So we've got that celery again. Now there are a lot of leaves in here, so what I suggest is to chop it up and just freeze it or dry it, and then you can add it to soup whenever you like. Now the boxes as we get towards fall are kind of really awesome for soup, but we really haven't had a lot of soup days. It's been warm, and so hopefully you can save some of this stuff to make some nice cozy soups here in the next upcoming month. I know they say it's pumpkin spice season, but it's also soup season. We made a delicious minestrone soup the other day that was just so good, and I used an entire bunch of celery and just tossed it in there, and it had great flavor along with all the other garden vegetables. So hopefully that inspires you. We've got Swiss chard this week, and the chard is amazing. Like, this is the same chard that we've been picking since the spring, and believe it or not, it actually kind of had a comeback. It's like the comeback kid, and it is just looking beautiful. A lot of times as we get towards late summer and the cool weather starts to kick in, those fall crops really start to gear up because they love the dewy, wet mornings and the cool temperatures. And so some things that might just kind of hibernate and lapse in the summer start to put on new growth. So think about that life analogy right there as you enjoy some of those cooler weather recipes. And this, of course, awesome in that minestrone soup. I like to think of it as like a classic Italian flavor, and because chard is a little more full-bodied, it's going to hold its shape better in soup than a lighter green like spinach. Now the stems were also really good to use in the soup as well, so just chop all that up and add it in. And if you think that you're not going to use it right away, you can always saute it and then just freeze it in clumps on a baking tray, and then you can throw that into soup whenever you want to. We have a mint medley, revisiting that mint medley. This is a pineapple mint, and then we've got the chocolate mint. Caroline said that that one was just like a scratch and sniff sticker. And then we have the mojito mint here. And so these are all really good muddled into tea or drinks, hot or cold. You can also make a simple syrup. It's basically 1 part of sugar, 1 part of water, and the herbs, and then that syrup can be added. So you can make your very own like coffee creamer sweeteners, that kind of thing that way. These also just dry beautifully, and then you can use them. Also, carrots are great with mint. Those are in really nice pairings, so you can chop it in, add it to some carrots. So try like that pineapple mint with the carrots. I think would be really good. So yeah, I hope that inspires you. It has added such a fragrant aroma to the room today, and to the boxes, and even the cars we're delivering. So enjoy your mint. We have some romaine lettuce this week. So romaine, calm and carry on. So we actually were quite surprised. We planted our loose leaf lettuces and the romaine, however, I was going to use it for loose leaf. The spacing was so that it had a little extra room, and so I discovered how nicely it had matured into these heads. And they're not the tightest of heads, but they're a head nonetheless. And so we have these nice little heads of romaine for you. So whether you're doing like a lettuce wrap or just a really nice, cold weather salad, some nice salad for you. And for those of you joining the extra box next week, our loose leaf is regrowing. Next week we'll have loose leaf lettuce, so very excited about that. We have some red potatoes this week, and we're going to be plowing up the rest of the potatoes coming up here, so there will be some blue ones coming soon. And we have some sweet potatoes. Now, not all the sweet potatoes can be stars of the show, so we do have some smaller sweet potatoes. So if you see some really crazy little skinny ones, those are still sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes actually love hot weather, and we don't quite have a long enough season for them to completely mature up here in the north. That's why sweet potatoes are seen so much in the south, y'all, because they love that long extended season. So we're able to pull, you know, maybe 60-70% of the growth off of there, but some of them just don't mature. So if you have some skinny sweet potatoes in your box, they're still sweet potatoes. Scrub them up really well. You don't even have to skin these, they're so tender right now. And then chop them up and use them as a regular sweet potato. We love like a sweet potato saute for breakfast. We do half regular potatoes, half sweet potatoes. You do have to be careful as you're working with sweet potatoes and sauteing them, because the higher sugar content, they tend to blacken and burn a little bit quicker. I do kind of like that little blackened bit, and I love making like sweet potato fries with a roasted garlic aioli. Those are some of my favorite things to do, but do be careful and watch them a little closer, because they are going to cook faster and have a little more tendency to scorch than regular potatoes. But some of them are cut, you know, in coming out of the field, because they do tend to have like these little trailers like that. Sometimes they get snipped off. If you just go ahead and leave that, it'll heal up and they'll be okay. So, you know, just let them get some circulation and some air, and that will heal over. So if you see some of that, that's just fine. It's gonna heal over and it's not gonna rot or anything like that. So, all right, very excited about the sweet potatoes, and they have been so awesome. And let me see if I can find real quick. Give me 1 minute here. I'm gonna see if I can find the monster sweet potato. Here it is. Caroline and Caitlin pulled this guy out of the field today. So comparatively with my head, it is almost nearly the size of my head. I haven't weighed it yet, but it's monstrous. Isn't that awesome? So awesome. So yeah, that might be the biggest sweet potato I've ever pulled out of the ground. Very proud of that. Not exactly sure how that happened. Maybe it ate some of its family or something like that. So big sweet potatoes coming your way. All right, we've got very excited to have our cucumbers. These guys were such a great story. I try to always stagger and have a couple cucumber crops, and so I planted the transplants back in July, planted them into the field in like right before a thunderstorm. Literally could watch the lightning around us. Planted these guys. They got watered, they got growing. Because they know that the season's coming to an end, they kicked into high gear, and these most beautiful cucumbers are the result. Both Caitlin and Caroline were so flabbergasted that they actually ended up like kicking into gear and yielding. And so we are so excited to have these, and we should for the next couple of weeks, because they're just starting, but they're really plentiful and they're just gorgeous. So these are your traditional, you know, cucumbers. I love the soy oolongs, but they take longer to grow. And so I opted for these, which are a bit quicker, so that I knew we would get them in to the last few boxes. So enjoy your cucumbers. That's such a treat. Speaking of treats, we've got some winter squash. This is a kabocha, and these I absolutely love. We've grown some cool colors this year, so you might get one that's blue, you might get one that's kind of whitish pink, you might get one that's kind of green, different colors. So these guys are a winter squash. My favorite way is just stab it a few times, put it in the oven on a, you know, tray, and then bake it till it's tender. These have a skin that is edible as well, so you could even slice this beforehand if you want into some beautiful little slices, lay that out, roast it with some olive oil, salt and pepper, you know, all of that, and that would be a beautiful way to serve it as well. It does have some really big seeds inside of there. They have these tremendously huge seeds, so enjoy that winter squash. I will tell you that in farming we have some successes and we have some failures, and this year we planted a ton of winter squash only to find that it got eaten, the seeds all got eaten by some sort of critter. Over 400 plants or holes we planted with seeds, and so unfortunately we did not get the winter squash yield we were looking for. Sweet potatoes did great, but the winter squash was a little sad to have found that happened. And by the time, we waited for those seeds to sprout, we discovered that it was getting a little late in the season. So we scrambled, we got these planted, but unfortunately that means there is not quite the selection that we enjoy from our winter squash field. So very sad, but hopefully you can enjoy the sweet potatoes because they do have a similar texture flavor. And in some ways, I even prefer sweet potatoes a little bit more. So I'm hoping that you don't mind that compensation this year because things just happen. And this year has been our year to compete with nature. I don't know why or how, but between the chipmunks and the crows, so we've learned some lessons because these are things that we've never encountered before. And we might just have to grow these plants as transplants and then plant them into the field. And that way we have a secure crop and nothing will try to eat it, hopefully. So anyways, these are brought to you by hopes and dreams, grit and tears, and just trying to do what we can do to be one with nature and yet be a little bit smarter than it. So all right, we have some peppers this week, lots of peppers. So we went with sweet peppers. These are those shishito. Well, let's just say not hot. Lots of the lunchbox peppers and bell peppers, of course. So lots of different colors and flavors of your peppers this week. We've got tomatillos. I just love these little guys, and they are wonderful to make a salsa with. So we'll be putting a recipe in for some salsa this week because we also included some green tomatoes, and the green tomatoes make wonderful salsa with the tomatillos. And we do have a couple of tomatoes for you. Not very many, however, our tomatoes are really coming to an end. All good things must end, and I have to admit, being kind of sad to see the tomatoes go, but it's been a good run, hasn't it? It has been a lot of great weeks of delicious tomatoes. So sad to see them go, but it is what it is. We've got a new crop of baby beets. Baby beet, 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 beet. So these guys are delicious, and the greens are really lush and really healthy. So you can saute those, add them to your Swiss chard and saute them up and add them into soup. You'll never even know. Great to use those beets. They also do make a good salad. They are a little bit tougher than a lettuce or something like that, but you can definitely use them in a salad. We've got those wonderful colors like you love, and we transplanted in all of these beets back in early August or so, and they are just starting to yield now. So we'll have these for several weeks yet. We've got, last but not least, I think here, we've got those carrots that you've been loving. So proud of our carrots, I have to say. They have been just a great crop. We will have a few of those rainbow carrots in the weeks to come, but we are just loving these, and of course those beautiful tops as well. So lots of great joy coming out of the carrot plot. So I think that is everything in the box. And thank you guys for being a part of Big Rock Organics this year. It has been a pleasure and a joy to share our summer with you and to hear about the wonderful things that you've been cooking. And if this is so long, until next time, then have a wonderful, wonderful fall and winter. And we hope to see you next spring for 2023. Thanks so much, everybody, and take care. Bye.